We are so honored today to have Jeff Mendelsohn on the phone with us. He's on from Minneapolis today. He's on the road, and Jeff is the founder and president of New Leaf Paper. He's won tons of awards. His company is doing great things, and it's really driving a fundamental shift towards sustainability in the paper industry. Welcome, Jeff, today to Green is Good.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Jeff, your company was founded in 1998, way before the Green Revolution was cool and hip, and Al Gore won an Academy and an Emmy and a Nobel Peace Prize in the same year. Why the heck did you do this in 1998? What was your inspiration, and what got you into this business?
You know, to be honest, I started in 1991, right out of college, so I've been, believe it or not, selling paper for 18 years.
Wow. But so you started in 91. Was that your own company? You were selling for somebody else? And tell us the evolution of you and your and being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. No, day one was my own company. I founded it actually with a guy that was revolutionizing recycling in New York City. That's a whole other story altogether. Really
Okay.
neat guy. But together we started a company that we called New York Recycled Paper, and it was the precursor of New Leaf Paper. And really, I got into this because I really wanted to make a difference with my life, and I had studied, international relations and just saw how powerful business was as a force in society. And I just thought the best way to try and make business a power for good was to drive change from within. And paper, I probably couldn't have chosen a more challenging industry. It's highly commodified, low margin, very capital intensive, and frankly, real stuck in old environmentally damaging patterns. So
it was 91 to 91 to 98. You were doing the New York Recycled, and then 98 you started New Leaf. Was that how this thing went?
Absolutely.
And how did that first 7 years go? I mean, were you a big success? Were you you're muddling along? People weren't really believing. How did that go?
Well, it's interesting. I was very, was able to follow a path to make it happen. I mean, New Leaf never would have happened without those years at New York Recycled Paper. And New Leaf is really where the vision blossomed and came into its own. With New York Recycled Paper, we actually added print services because nobody trusted recycled paper in 1991. It was that early in the whole evolution of this thing. So, right. So we were selling printing and paper together and guaranteeing quality in order to just build the market to the point where we could start New Leaf and really innovate with better environment responsible papers.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point there, Jeffrey, because when anything is new in recycling and that concept, recycling paper, well, is it going to be any good? It really is a great selling point for your company or for New York Recycled Paper to be able to offer the printing services and show, hey, we'll take care of that end for you as well. That was a really, really smart move.
Yeah, we basically said if you don't like it, you don't pay for it. So that usually got past most people's concerns around quality. And we built an expertise not only on environmentally responsible paper, but printing and finishing and all the various applications. And it allowed us to really engage in all the product innovation that we did later as New Leaf Paper with confidence. So again, I can't imagine the whole evolution of my career path happening any other way. It really set the stage for New Leaf to create all these market-leading environmental papers that we've been doing for the past 10 years.
Okay, and just for as a little shout-out and a little disclaimer, I want to give a little bit both. For our listeners that are listening, to learn more about Jeffrey's great company, you could go to www.newleafpaper.com, just like it's spelled. But, also as a little disclaimer, but I want to give a shout-out to Julie Johnson. When I first got in this business, Julie was one of the first people I met, and she was so warm and engaging and told me all about your company 5 years ago that I'm, just like Warren Buffett, drinks Coke and he uses Gillette shavers and he owns parts of those companies. I'm a big consumer of yours. Our business cards, which are about a third of the size of a typical business card, is printed on your great paper. So we're so excited to have you on the show today because we're consumers of your paper and we love what you're doing. And why don't you tell our listeners, why did you go from New York Recycled Paper? How did you create the New Leaf brand? Why did you do it, and how have things been since 98 to now?
Yeah, it's a real exciting story. New Leaf is really the fruition of the original vision. I mean, in 1991, the goal of the company was to try and change the paper industry and lead by example. And by 98, we figured out how to do it, and we wanted to start with a fresh brand and more of a broader brand concept. New York recycled paper just didn't do it, and New Leaf was just perfect. We're all about, we want to turn over a new leaf in the paper industry. We moved the office to San Francisco, and within the first year, we launched the first 100% post-consumer recycled letterhead paper with Bank of America as the anchor customer. And over the following 10 years, that's essentially the path we went down, which was to go to market with products that are categorically better environmentally than anything that had existed before, and allow a market to build around these product lines. So it's not just a niche, but it's a real lasting shift.
Well,
we've seen that happen time and time again.
Well, you bring up a great point. Mike and I interview so many cool people in so many industries and professions, or literally around the world. Sometimes Costa Rica, sometimes Atlanta. So now you make an interesting point. Moving your business from New York to San Francisco, were you welcomed more culturally speaking in the business and the consumer community in San Francisco than New York?
Well, I enjoy surfing. That's why I moved to San Francisco.
Spoken like a true native San Diegan there.
that played a role, definitely did. But the main reason was I knew a bunch of people in San Francisco, and there was a really vibrant green business community.
Okay, so culturally it is better. Culturally, you're saying it's more receptive.
I have nothing against New York. Actually, by some people's reckoning, New York is one of the most environmentally responsible cities in the country because the energy use per capita is, I think, the lowest, because people in New York don't drive cars and they live in small apartments. So I actually think New York is a great city and there are great customers there. But for my company, where it's going to be based and where I'd find my employees,
right, I
felt San Francisco was the right place.
Got it. Hey, for our listeners, and including Mike and I, who are always learning and love what we're doing here on the show with great people like you, explain a little bit, this whole, recycled paper versus pre-consumer recycled paper versus post-consumer recycled paper. Is there a big difference, and what should our listeners be buying if they have a choice between recycled pre-consumer and recycled post-consumer?
That's a great question, and what we normally do is we educate people on what is the real thing when it comes to environmental standards, and we've done that through presentations that I like to call pulp nonfiction, which is
nice.
Yeah, it's and the whole point is to get people to think and smile. Nobody's going to remember the word post-consumer, what it means, unless we've succeeded in getting them to actually think about it and then smile. So that's actually our brand strategy, is think and smile.
Wow.
And what we've done over the years is we've taken a topic that in 1998 was one of these things where mostly it was negative communication. Oh, we shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and we're destroying the planet. And we turned it around and said, hey, here's a positive vision. Here's what the industry should look like. Mills should be designed according to the principles of sustainability. And based on that, the best fiber sources are post-consumer recycled fiber. This is fiber that would have gone to a landfill. And that's the easiest definition. I mean, there's more to it. There's other ways to define it. But post-consumer recycled fiber is fiber that normally would have gone to a landfill. We're trying to take that stream and put it back to use.
Got it.
That's it.
Wonderful.
And people remember things when they understand it. So the pulp nonfiction vision of sustainability, it's about what goes into the mill, the source of the materials, how the mill operates. So we like paper that's bleached without the use of chlorine or chlorine compounds, so a chlorine-free bleaching system. And then what goes out of the mill? Is it polluting with what goes out? And just with that broad framework, we can help people understand a little deeper why they should be buying what they're buying.
So it's post-consumer is what our listeners should be buying. Is that's your recommendation?
Yeah, when of course in the real world people need to focus on one or two attributes, and that would be the most important attribute, is high post-consumer recycled content. The other two I would highlight would be chlorine-free bleaching, okay, and then FSC-certified virgin fiber.
Okay. And
we're a big proponent of FSC as a sustainable forestry management system. But I do want to warn people that some FSC papers have little or no post-consumer recycled fiber. So I think the hierarchy is the way I put it. You want you want high post-consumer waste, you want FSC certification, and you want clean bleaching.
Hey, Jeffrey, we're going to take a break and go to our go take a little break to our advertisers, and then we want our listeners to come on back and think and smile with Jeffrey Mendelsohn from New Leaf Paper at Green is Good.
If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to Green is Good, and we've got Jeffrey Mendelsohn on the phone today, and he's making us think and smile. So welcome back. Hey, Jeff, thanks for being on Green is Good today. And our listeners, besides going to your great website, www.newleafpaper.com, they're listening and they're getting excited. They want to know, where can they buy your paper products? Our listeners are all across America in every zip code. Where can they go and buy your great products?
Well, I appreciate you asking me that. We're super excited. We've launched retail products now. So New Leaf Paper is in every Office Depot. They're the first national retailer to stock our products, and it's in the resume section and in the school supplies, notebooks, and business papers, and a few other types of products that are all over the paper categories at Office Depot.
Wonderful. That's just perfect. And so that's great. All our listeners can go buy New Leaf Paper. And by the way, New Leaf Paper, great brand. We use it. Do you have 10 competitors, 5 competitors, 1 competitor? How many competitors now have followed you into this niche vertical, and how is that going?
You know what? It's exciting. I think when we started, there were really no paper companies that had a similar message around environmental responsibility. And in fact, they all would kind of watch us with their arms crossed. And in the last couple of years, literally every paper company has gotten into it and realized that environmental responsibility is important to their customers. And we love that. Now, it's competition, so on one side it's a challenge, but frankly, it was our mission. I mean, from day one, our whole goal was to shift the industry, and we're seeing it happen, and we're excited about the future.
So you really did achieve that goal. That was one of the first goals that you could check off the list, was to change the industry as a whole, because you had these corporate paper giants who are waiting to see, well, let's see if these guys fall on their butts. But you didn't. You ended up getting them to realize that it's not only the right thing to do, but can be very profitable.
Absolutely. And, it's the way we like to see it is the first 7 years of New Leaf were what we call the pioneer years, where, you're out in front, and the skills of a pioneer are different than those of a leader. And now we're in the leader stage. So we're sort of evolving from pioneer to leader. So as a pioneer, we're out in front. We're always innovating. We're it's kind of a scrappy time. It's you're sort of alone in a environment that nobody else is around. And we're able to turn that into a marketplace. And now the challenge is to lead. And it's in many ways a more exciting challenge. We need to keep our vision fresh and make sure that all these new products aren't just niche plays, but really result in a fundamental shift towards sustainability. We want the mainstream to get all the way in.
Well, that's a great breakdown of pioneer years to leader years. So take me through this now. 98 to 2005. It wasn't cool to be green. There was no Al Gore. There was no political will really happening in America. Tell us now that, Gore has done Inconvenient Truth, and Obama and other administrations, from our great governor here in California, Schwarzenegger, to Mayor Mike Bloomberg and Mayor Villagrosa in L.A., there's tremendous political will. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, politicians are realizing it's good politics to be green. What does that mean for your company, and what does the economy mean for your company? Are people increasing or decreasing their green buying in this downturned economy?
Yeah, well, good question, but I'm going to take issue with what you said in the beginning. You said from 1998 to 2005 it wasn't cool to be green, and I think it was absolutely cool to be green, and all the cool kids were green.
Well, obviously you were, that's for sure. You were the coolest. Okay, I'm with you on that. Okay, I'll give you that one, Jeffrey.
There's a good point on this. So I just want to say that we were able to grow during that period because there were people that really got it.
Okay.
And it was about people, even in large corporations, like I said. I mean,
good for you.
And we're able to get them to make the shifts. Even the Harry Potter publishers in Canada used our paper, and that caused a revolution in book publishing paper towards green. Yeah. And so what's happened now is you're moving forward into this period where everybody's just seeing the value. You mentioned the mayors and the president and Gore. No, it's the best time, and the challenges are different. That's the thing. So we had to learn. We had to change.
Right.
Again, the skills that we used to get to where we were in 2005 are different than the skills that we're using now to stay ahead and remain the leader. And it's a more mainstream challenge. So our brand and our value proposition goes a lot deeper than a lot of our competitors, and we need to be able to tell that story really well. That's one of the reasons why we went out into the retail paper products. So not only selling printing papers for books and reports and whatever else, we also have the retail products and office paper.
So, but besides the downturn economy, which we're going to get to in a second, has the velocity picked up because now sustainability, just like the internet, in 1997, no one knew if the internet was here to stay or not. Vernacular, Google was not part of our vernacular in 96 and 97. Of course it is now, and we all know that world is here to stay, the technology world. The same thing for you. Now that the world understands that the sustainability movement, the green revolution's here to stay, has the velocity of your sales picked up that much, or how does that affect you?
That was great. I'd say 2007 and 2008 were our best 2 years. Great growth. I'm happy to share at the end of 2008 we'd grown to just below 30 million, and we'd actually done that without any outside financing. So the first 10 years of New Leaf's history was entirely self-funded. We had some great bank relationships that helped us with cash flow,
wow,
no outside investment, and that's something we're real proud of. We're also real proud of our investors. We've brought in some investors now to help us roll out into the retail sphere, a group called PCV in the Bay Area that are really progressive and excellent investment group. So we've risen to the challenges of the new phase here where everybody's aware of green. So the 07 and 08 were great years. 09 was nuts. The hardest part for us was, adjusting from rapid growth to an overall decline in the economy. As a young company, we'd never been through that before, so it took us probably 6 months to figure out how to adjust to a down economy. So that was really painful.
Right.
So the first 6 months of 09 were probably the toughest years in the history of the company.
Right.
Just coming to terms with a down economy, but we're coming out of it in a good place. We figured it out. We've adjusted, and it's driven some more innovation, and we're super excited about 2010.
Well, you mentioned the Harry Potter books in Canada, and I want to touch on that. If Tom Friedman's right, and I believe he is right, the world is flat. Is it just the United States and Canada your marketplace, or are you selling New Leaf products around the world?
Well, one of our big customers is Barnes & Noble, and they're producing a whole series of calendars on our paper, and a lot of color printing gets done in Asia. So fortunately, one of our strengths is that we are working with the most sustainable mills across the world. And one of our products, one of the most environmentally responsible coated papers in the world, is made in Asia. So the supply chain's pretty good. It goes from our Asian source to the printer for Barnes & Noble and then to the customer. So we do sell paper into Asia and then all over North America. We haven't been selling in other parts of the world. And to be candid, our first priority is to try to work right here in North America, sure, and try and shift the industry here and help it survive and be successful. The paper industry is a really challenging industry, and there's probably not a single mill in North America that's making money right now.
Got it. Talk about the DNA of your company. Obviously, you're a visionary, and you have great energy, and you've made a huge success for yourself. To not take money all those years and to run such a disciplined company and have such massive success, I know as an entrepreneur that you've accomplished massive, tremendous, and very applaudable results. But what's the where is the future now for your company, and what is the DNA of your company beyond paper? Do you have other initiatives that are sustainable just among the culture of your company in terms of lighting in your company, or water habits, or furniture habits, or what kind of cars you guys drive? Explain the DNA of your company so other entrepreneurs can understand how culture and DNA can mean so much to the success of an organization.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. It's really important. I like the word DNA too, because I think that corporations are essentially their own organism. And, our DNA starts with our mission statement, which is to inspire, through our success, a fundamental shift towards sustainability in the paper industry. And that's something that every employee knows. That's really what we're all about. And then as a company, we've been very entrepreneurial, and the whole team has a fair amount of freedom to drive the agenda and contribute to the overall vision. One of the things that's been challenging is, again, the paper industry is low margins, so we've always had to operate on very lean margins. So it's a lean operation. There's not a lot of support staff, and people have to work real hard. So we're proud of what we do, and it's a challenging industry. All in all, we feel that we're poised to be able to take when the economy is starting to turn around now, and green is here to stay. It's not going away. What we figured out is, we have a value proposition that goes far beyond selling paper, and we're now engaging our customers with a service model, and that's working really well. Everybody's busy. Not everybody knows how to navigate all the various types of papers and challenges around being green and being competitive, and we do. So we're going into some of our big customers and providing that as a service.
Hey, when you jump in bed at night and lay your head down after such a busy day and all that you've accomplished, what's your ultimate goal for New Leaf Paper yourself? What's your real vision what's the real victory here?
The real victory is that environmentally responsible paper is the norm, not the exception. And I will say this, that it's easy to celebrate right now because, again, as of 2005 or 6, every paper mill now has a green option, a green offering. But the reality is that the market, the overall industry, has not really made a fundamental shift at this point. There's a lot of work to do. So it's a positive situation, but it's a positive first step. So I see New Leaf ultimately, if you want to take me down to the ultimate vision, that what we want to do is we want to help bring about a paper industry of the future where it's actually not a horrible industry, that the mills can make money, and they can make money by producing an environmentally responsible product. I mean, I'm hoping that the whole manufacturing infrastructure for paper can be more sustainable, so that all the fibers are sourced in a sustainable manner, and the chemistry is clean, and the customers get it, and the market stabilizes, and ultimately, as a paper guy, I'm sure this is blasphemy, but I hope we use less paper.
Gotcha.
My ultimate goal will be that paper usage will go down, and that we'll use less, but we'll use it wisely.
And everyone will have business cards my size, a third of the size of a regular business card.
Absolutely. And that's a perfect metaphor right there. So you use less, but what you use is good, and it reflects your values.
Hey, Jeffrey, we're down to the last 2 minutes, and I want you to leave our entrepreneurs and consumer listeners and business listeners, and we have all sorts of listeners across the land. Leave them with some pearls of wisdom, whether it's on business or in terms of just being good green citizens. What do you want to leave for our listeners as we exit our show?
Well, the main thing I want to say is I want to get back to the whole think and smile. I mean, I was really happy to come up with that because it's hard to navigate some of the challenging times when you're trying to set yourself out to a higher standard and be truly green in sometimes a challenging world. Stay positive, keep it fun, keep it thoughtful, and smile because you've got a solution. And that's really what we're all about. We're hoping that energy will carry the day, and we'll see this exciting green moment turn into a green future.
Well, Jeff Mendelsohn, I'll tell you what, I want all our listeners who've been listening today to go to Office Depot and support Jeff's company, New Leaf Paper. And you could go online and check out more about his great company at www.newleafpaper.com. Jeff Mendelsohn, we are so appreciative of your time today. You came on and did a tremendous job inspiring us and educating us about New Leaf Paper and all the great works you've done. You've definitely made Mike and I think and smile today. And Jeff Mendelsohn, you are living proof that green is good.